children of all ages. Oh, titties, wrong one. Redo. Hello, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the show. Holy titties, today we've got a conversation. Today we'll be talking about childhood drama and trauma, from OCD to tics to how you were able to overcome and triumph it. And ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the sofa. Oh shit, that's me. Oh, hi. Oh look, there's everybody else. Over here, we've got the one and only, the I'm at risk, the Will be Cain. And the other homeboy over there, yeah, this, that's not Andrew Tate. I had to look too. I looked, I was like, oh shit, that's Andrew Tate. No, it's not. That's the one, the only, Scott Warner. And here in the middle, oh Jesus, oh, it's a girl hype.
I have a vagina, disclaimer.
Oh, she has hell yeah. And it's the one, the only, Tara Jewel. Make sure you have their Instagram, say hello to them, and I don't know, whatever. So today with that, we're talking childhood trauma. And I figure I'd go first. We'll start the bar. And, so we'll just shit, man. Why don't we just do a classic? We haven't done one of these for a while. Where's my button? It's been that long. You know where I'm going to. Story time. Story time.
Cute.
Oh shit. Alright, well we're gonna leave this broken office up here. I'm not gonna try and fix it. Alright, so anyways, when I was in 8th grade, I had this kid that was, I guess you could say a bully, but it's hard to call him a bully knowing that I was bigger than him. But damn, this guy had a mouth. And so I had this opportunity a day before an incident to basically kick his ass. And I should have, in hindsight, but I didn't. And here's what I mean by that. So the next day, and I don't talk about it often, is this guy set it up with one of his friends. We were out playing football, and they tackled me from the front and the back at the same time. And this little shithead temporarily paralyzed me from the waist down. And I had the opportunity to demolish this kid the day before, and I didn't. So I then spent a year recovering, getting over it. No hockey, no sports, no goddamn a lot of things. Yo, on the plus side though, I did get to graduate 8th grade with all Fs. They were so scared of a lawsuit. They're like, hey, just kid, get the fuck out of here, get to 9th grade. Mm-hmm.
Were you in a wheelchair?
So how it worked is I was temporarily paralyzed. So it was on the spinal cord, and so it pinched my nerves. So from the waist down, I was temporarily gaining feeling back. So almost immediately I could move a couple toes, but that's it, just a couple toes. And then after a few hours, I could move my feet, and then a day I could kinda, and then a month, 2 months. I was in a whole year of like physical therapy, the this, the that. Yo, okay, so it sucks, but yeah, I don't talk about it often. Yeah, so I actually got flown out. I got a helicopter ride and everything. It was like a big deal. I made the newspaper. This shit sucked. So, anywho, come to find out. So, anyways, how that changed my life getting into that. So now whenever somebody says, hey, you want to fight, you know the first thing I do? The second you say, yo, you want to fight, yo, I just start throwing blows. Goddamn.
Protect that back.
Okay, and so Scott, I've even had Scott, and so we had an incident where Scott was in a fight. I was like, buddy, listen, this guy doesn't know. You're just going to start boom, 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 boom. Yo, that taught me a big lesson that day. The second you say you want to fight, I learned that's it. You just toss the hands. That said, sometimes people are just bad people. And so I recently had to run into this guy's best friend. You know, to this day, they still laugh about it. These kids joked about it when they were in 8th grade, that they had done that to me, they got me. And that was a lot. And then come to find out as adults, damn, you know, they still haven't grown up. When his best friend saw me, the first thing he thought about was to tell me, bro, we still talk about that day.
I'm sorry that happened to you, but I just want to make one little correction. You throw hands, you toss salads.
Valid question.
All right, well, that day I was tossing salad. I throw hands now. Apparently that day I was tossing some fucking salad. I was on the grass.
So your story makes me think about so coming into this, I was thinking about the things that happened to me that traumatize me, like make me move the way I move. But your story makes me think about like the things that I've done to other people that traumatize them. Yeah, we all have a story.
Yeah, the traumatizer and the traumatizee.
A little bit of both, I think. A little bit of both.
I want to hear your trauma.
For me, I think what really best describes like how I move along the world are my first two memories, right? And so my first memory was I'm from Brooklyn, Sunset Park, pretty bad neighborhood. It felt like a warm summer day. I don't know, the sun was out, and I'm a rule follower, right? So my mom was pushing my infant brother's carriage. I was holding on to it. I know that much, right? I have to hold on to my brother's carriage. And so we get to the street and we turn down the corner from the avenue, and we get maybe like 50, 75 feet, and all of a sudden it's like fireworks and explosions. It's like boom, 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 boom. This guy jumps over this gate and he grabs my mom grabs my brother, and I get thrown into this first floor doorway, which this guy he doesn't live in. He's just trying to shield us from what I now know are gunshots that are happening in my neighborhood, right? Oh, wow. And so I'm like 2.5 years old, looking up at my mom, and it's the first time I ever realized that my mom can't protect me from everything. It's just like boom, 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 explosions. And they went on until the police sirens. And then when the police sirens came through, that's when like everything was safe, right? We had just walked into the middle of a gang shootout. And so for the rest of my life after that, I'm like looking up, I'm looking to the side, like I walk with a purpose. I walk cautiously and observantly. I'm like always like waiting for the next like gang shootout because of it. I'm trying to keep myself safe.
Damn. That was crazy.
The raccoon.
Red fucking panda, bud. Red fucking panda.
4 years later, still can't get it. Damn.
Red panda.
Can we have like a raccoon, like rent a raccoon day to where it can be a raccoon for one day?
No. Red panda.
What about a red raccoon?
Red raccoon?
Meet me in the middle.
What would be the difference? That's a red panda, no? Red panda.
Red panda with a red scarf, too.
Extra red.
See, that's what a red panda looks like.
Actually.
Look. See, here's me, right? Let me make me a little bigger. Whoa, hey.
That's you in the wild.
Look. See, that's me in the wild.
Okay.
And then if I was to be like,
that's pretty accurate.
Mediocre at best.
That's what she said.
And was she mildly satisfied?
Who cares?
No, literally, that's what she just said.
Yeah, that's
This is a true statement. Statement.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to think of like some trauma that I had, and I was kind of thinking I was like taught to avoid situations in general. So to me, it's kind of like, is it really a trauma or is it a regret? Because a trauma is kind of like something that happens to you. Like you couldn't avoid that necessarily. You know what I mean? It was just like, that's just where you're at, you know? I haven't really had any like big traumas, at least like as a child. Like I definitely learned mistakes later on, like in my early 20s, where it's like, yeah, you know, I could have been in really bad trouble and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's just like, you know, trauma, like I said, is unavoidable. But like, I do remember this one time, like speaking of like getting in fights and stuff, I was in like, this is when I realized like, oh, you can fight back. Because I was raised like, turn the other cheek, don't fight, and all this and that. And I remember like one time we were just like, I was just pushing this kid where like we were pushing each other, and I thought we were quote unquote friends or whatever. Next thing you know, he like turns around and like clocks you right in the face, and I was like, oh, I got hit in the face, and then like I didn't know how to do anything, and then my friend's like, oh, you're gonna let him do that to you, and then like egged me on, and like, and I was like, I don't know, am I supposed to fight? And then like, and I didn't think much of it, and then it's like, cause this is like out there, like the only witness was like Ice Cream Man and my friend, like, it's not, and then, like, but the next thing you know, you come back to school and everyone's like, oh, you got beat up and this and that, and I'm like, what? You know, but. And then, like, you know, I tried to make up for it. I went to the guy's house thinking I'm all tough. Like, oh, yeah, come on outside, this and that. And he's like, no, I'm not coming outside to fight you. Like, that's stupid. But so that was kind of like a dumb thing. But it's like, that was like a lesson to be learned. It's like, hey, you can defend yourself. You know what I mean? But I was going to say it is sad and pathetic for those guys. They can still talk and laugh about it. Like, if they haven't done anything else, like, in the last 20 years, like, come on now. That's pretty. That's just show. I understand if they see you, it's gonna remind you of it to keep like talking about it.
I would feel bad if I were like if I was the one that did that to you. Being like an adult, looking back at it, then like I would feel guilty as a person. Like, hey man, I'm sorry. Instead of being like, no, you're still. I don't know. People like that will never grow as people because they can't accept humility for themselves.
I've been a bully for a short amount of time.
Yeah,
in my past. Yeah, like very short. I typically I experienced a lot of bullying growing up, and then I started fighting, and then at certain points I like the point I was making earlier, in junior high school, right before I started fighting, we would all play in the jungle gym right across the street from our school. Right, and so like sometimes like we would do like WWE, right, where I was Chris Jericho, right, and we hurt a lot of kids, right, like we like pedigreed kids in glass, we like rock bottom. I got rock bottom from like from the top of the slide onto the mat, right, like kids got hurt, right, but like we were like living this, and so there's this one game in particular that I remember that it was like 2 people would stand on top of the slide on the slide. And it was whoever was on the bottom of the slide, it was their goal to push through and fight through to get to the top of the slide. And so there was this one day where there was like this little Asian kid. I was in 8th grade, I think. And this kid was in 6th grade. And it was me and my homie Dave, right, who went on to become one of my underground stolen Pokemon card market business partners, right?
Underground Pokemon ring. Wow.
Right. So,
you missed it. Yeah, we talked about there's a whole Pokemon ring that he ran.
So he was trying to get up the slide, right? And so my friend like held onto his legs when it was like halfway up, and like I knew like this was a bad move, and like I didn't have like I guess empathy or like I don't know the synapses right now to know that I shouldn't push this kid off the slide because there's no way for him to like brace his fall. So I pushed him off the slide and he fell right on his arm.
Oh, you broke his arm.
So the ambulance comes and this kid shows up to school the next day in a full arm brace, and he looks me in the eye and goes, one day I will have my revenge.
Oh no.
I'm still waiting for him to fuck me up today.
He is. If not, he's gonna die and haunt you for the rest of your life.
That's gonna be his regret.
Damn, that's how you were like,
you're that guy.
I created a villain that day for sure. Yeah.
He's probably a fucking terrible person because of you.
I mean, I would hope not. I mean,
that or he's super successful and he's looking down at you laughing.
Because
I mean, it could be a motivator or it could really fuck somebody up. Because, like, I mean, I have a really, like, sad story, like, growing up kind of thing. I got bit by my dog when I was 11 months old, 150 stitches. So, growing up, heavy set, I was 11 years old, like, 140 pounds.
Wait, at 11?
At 11. I had this huge scar on my face. And, like, kids ripped on me. To where, like... Oh. My thing was like seeking acceptance for no matter what kind of acceptance from what kind of person kind of thing. And so I attracted just the wrong type of people and I was brilliant. And then fucking 4 dads, you know what I mean? My daddy number 4 is about the age that I am, but I was 11 when he came in my life. You know what I mean? Oh. So like I would never be able to raise a kid that's not mine at that age. My mom fucking dated someone 7 years younger.
How old are you now?
25.
Okay. All right. So you have at 11 years old, you had a 25-year-old stepfather.
Yeah. My mom was like mid-30s. Yeah. No, and it was just rough, and like the way he
Good
communicated.
for your mama, though. Like,
Fuck no, though.
oh.
It made me like,
Ah.
I don't know. It changed the way I
You don't think
value
so, Will?
relationships with people, though. You know what I mean?
So
Marriage
even at
is
11
not
years old,
perfect.
you're understanding stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. And my mom's attention wasn't ever on me prior to that because she was working 2 jobs. She was being a single mom. She didn't have attention for me, and I would go home crying about being bullied, and it was fucking rough kindergarten, like terrible. And like growing up now, I lost 100 pounds out of high school, and everybody wanted to be my friend. I got my tits done. I said, fuck everybody because you guys are fake. Everybody that said that they were my friends for the right intentions weren't. You know what I mean? And you realize that after the fact, and it just goes to show how artificial people are, especially in a town like this.
Damn, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
People that are
on
from
it.
Vegas understand, but it's so crazy.
I wasn't too like this similar to what I went through, right? Because I've spoken about this lots.
We were talking about this.
in the past on this podcast, where like, you know, I was in elementary school, top class. I went to a performing arts junior high school in the gifted program. Got like kicked out of the gifted program, and at that same time, like my uncle had just gotten out of jail, and he had no place to go but stay at my mom's apartment. And so like he kind of brought I needed to like learn how to be a man, and he needed someone to teach to be a man. So like he kind of brought like the prison system into my apartment, where he would like mercilessly like beat me, but like in a playful manner, you know, like I'm just fucking with you.
That's like my uncle.
Right, exactly. And so I went from like kind of like getting bullied a lot to all of a sudden it was like, hey, Will, my uncle was telling me like, if someone puts their hands on you, punch them right in the face. And so that was like my mantra. Like I would get into like these arguments with people, and I would say, go ahead. I'd come on, touch me. And they would just touch my shoulder, and I was like, "Pah!" Right in the mouth. And if they want to come back at me, I'm like destroying them, right? Because like my uncle was straight out of prison. Like, there's nothing that you can do to me that my uncle like a grown man can, you know. So, and I sort of made, because I mean, it was like I grew up in an environment where it was like it was hostility, right? It's about reputation, right? And so your reputation meant everything. And so like as a little boy growing up who's trying to be a man, your reputation is all that matters. And if you're labeled a pussy or punk or a buster, right, then you're gonna get picked on. But it's either like, so now it's like, no, I'm not. I was the first one to clap back. Say anything to me. One, I had better insults, better verbal skills, oral skills than you, and then better hand skills at this point, right? Because I was wrestling in junior high school.
Hey, Novus.
And then my uncle, you know, he taught me how to fight. He taught me how to like really, and that paved the way for me for a long time on how to deal with like uncomfortable situations. Like any situation where it was like demeaning to you, throw a fist, which is not the right way to deal with things.
I don't know.
But
It's not.
you realize that now, though, right? Like
It took me a long time.
But like you now, like as an adult, like you learn from that.
Right.
As a child, right?
I'm assuming like if you know, like you were to go down and like let's say just some drunk, you know, came up to you, like unless you're fucked up and depending on how gross a drunk is, totally get that.
I get that.
No, I much rather go the rest of my life without ever having a physical altercation with another human being. I think that's the way I want to live my life. At the same time, I do still have that in my back pocket for like self-defense purposes.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't think so. Like I think the best way to resolve things are typically with your words. And then when you go down, I guess like the food chain, when it and people have less vocabulary skills than you have, and they can't resolve their conflicts with just words. You use like one word that they don't understand, that rattles their brains, and so like their go-to is like fight.
Yep.
Like I don't understand what you told me, Therefore, I'm gonna try to punch you in the face.
No, because we're
and so that's
fucking
what you have
Were
to
they kind of being aggressive in the first place? In this situation?
Always.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're trying to verbally de-escalate it or
Mhm.
whatever,
Mhm.
and then you say something they don't understand, and then they just want to fight you instantly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's like a
Yeah.
there's a balance that you have to find with
Yeah.
like trying to de-escalate
I think
situations.
there's a balance and a line to know, like, wait, am I in a fight or not? And that's what I had to learn. Wait, I'm in a fight or not? You know. And sometimes you have to get punched a few times in the face. You know. And I think it's a good lesson to be able to defend yourself physically for male and female. I think, like, as a kid,
It's
take
necessary.
karate at 8 years old, or even
I took
whatever.
boxing, I think, when I was like in high school. Then I started doing,
I can see that.
Oh, I've got into a couple fights.
I
For
can see you
sure.
being a little fighter.
My dad drove me to my first fight. Fucking
Yo, let's go.
Stacia Davis. Well, dude, the bitch was crazy. So he thought he was like, she'd bring a rock and like fucking try to kill me or some shit. Yeah. He was like a little cheerleader. He's like, get up off the floor. He's just gonna pull hair. We're done. Drove away in his little white Escalade. Her parents didn't come to support. I was like, yeah.
Dude, my second memory. Well, you guys gonna about my second memory?
Love that.
My I forget if it's whether or not it's Washington or Oregon. Well, my grandmother took us on a road trip from New York City to I believe Washington, where my aunt had a farm. And so on this farm is like where I was like, it was right before or right after I walked into that shootout with my mom. And so they had this farm. I rode pigs. We like had cow pie fights, which are like just like hardened cow poop fights.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
What?
So
in Oregon,
it was like it was my first introduction to like like animals and nature. And so my aunt had this
Beautiful intro. Yeah.
my aunt had this she had this 5 foot above ground pool, right? And again, like I'm a rule follower, right? And so like I didn't know how to swim yet.
Wait, how old were you?
Like 3, 2.5,
Oh,
3.
okay.
Oh wow.
So I had these water wings, and so since it was like in a woody area, like every time I left the pool, I had to take my water wings off, so they wouldn't pop because of the twigs, right? And so I'm easily distracted till this day, right? So I get out of the pool, I take off my water wings because I follow the rules. I go and I drink like cherry Kool-Aid, and so I don't know what happens, but I climb up the ladder, I jump back into the pool, and as soon as I hit the water, I realize, holy shit, I forgot to put my water wings back on.
That's a little scary at that age.
I
That's
sink
super
to the bottom.
That's why you can remember that memory from that.
I
age.
sink to the bottom, and so I know a couple of things, right? I know, one, I'm not supposed to be at the bottom of the water.
Two, bottom of the sea.
Solid analysis.
2, I know ladders bring me up and down,
Floaties.
and I can see the ladder, right? So I waddle myself to the, like, I'm walking, but at the same time, I'm not, like, holding my breath. I'm, like, breathing.
Oh,
underwater.
my God.
I'm underwater, right? And so I take myself to the ladder, and I climb up, and as soon as I hit the surface...
Did you drown yourself almost?
As soon as I hit the surface, I start vomiting all the water I threw up. But I just drank cherry Kool-Aid. So I'm...
it's like bloody.
And my mom's like, oh my God! My aunt's like, oh my God! It was like pure fucking death. Right?
It's horrible.
The rest of my life, right? After the shootout, after me surviving drowning, right? I've chased death. At the same time, always trying to avoid it. I love the thrills, but I don't want to die. I want to get as close to it as possible. I mean, up until recently, obviously, since I've like acknowledged these things. But like when you can see my behaviors, like as an early adult, young adult, of me just like doing the weirdest and craziest and wildest things, at the same time, being as careful as I can be.
Yeah, they say if you overcome death, though, you live like your best life.
Hell yeah, you do. Fucking tased
that's
myself on the in the net twice, like streaming. It wasn't even my broadcast. They like sent me something in DM. I was like, fuck it, just drunk as shit. That, and I tried to have a foam party in the shower with a fire extinguisher, but it's dehydrating dust, and I thought it was just an old
Okay,
fire.
now that sounds fun.
What? That's what I thought, but it's just dust. I thought it was an old fire extinguisher, so I keep letting it rip. There's no windows. I almost suffocate myself.
Oh, that is
Horrible time.
Oh shit! Look, as a former
Beautiful.
as a former fire safety director and emergency action planner, like there's different types of fire extinguishers.
That
Did
one
you just
sucked.
choose the
Right,
wrong one?
electric
That
fire.
was, well,
Yeah,
that's
like
the
a kitchen one.
No, that was the one that was outside of a apartment door because I punched it to get to it. My like hands bleeding.
Oh.
It's like a break in case of emergency. It's the one
yeah.
outside.
You're like, it's an emergency. I have to take a shower.
I said I need to have a foam party. It wasn't
A
foam.
foam party. Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that was it was suffocating.
That reminds me of those guys that like put the dry ice in the whole pool, and like they jump in like.
Yeah, I learned
What
that.
happens when you do that?
Was it safe to say
it's
that?
like, it's like you're breathing in it. It's like
Oh, I've
Dry
done some
powder
really
thing.
no
stupid
oxygen,
shit.
You know? You're
I've
choking yourself
done,
out.
yeah,
Yeah, you choke
nobody's
yourself
done
out,
the
right?
amount of dumb
but,
shit.
like, you
that
might get
it's
a foreign
not
and
something
not
I
know
should be
it,
proud
you know
of,
what I
but
mean?
kind
Well,
of.
it's gonna go bad real
It's
quick.
impressive.
It's like the
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Go ahead.
Was it safe to say your fun was extinguished that night?
No, I had a blast afterwards.
Yeah, jokes.
I was like, all right, we survived.
I'm
Let's take a
watching.
shot. Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's good. It's good shit. It wasn't
But,
fun
you know-
cleaning it up though.
But I mean, you have to do some things like this. I feel like it's just part of your experience in your life, you know, to go through some of this stuff. Because how else are you gonna learn? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I teach you how to fight. How do you still gotta have the mental capacity to know when to fight or not to fight, or like when to like, is this a bad idea or a good idea, or am I just exploring and testing this out? And I think that is a fine line, you know, like because I don't want to hold a kid back, but at the same time, we don't want them to necessarily die doing it. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you
Right.
Where's
My,
the
set those
line?
boundaries
Where's
properly?
the line?
Yeah.
my uncle told me if someone puts their hands on you, hit him, like punch him right in the mouth, and that wasn't the right advice,
Well,
right?
yeah.
So,
See, I almost
was
hit my
aggressive.
sister on accident not because I got that advice, but because it's like, oh, someone's touched me. I want to like, I was elbowed, and she was like, I thought it was my older brother picking on me. See, I used to get picked on my older brother. See, now throw him under the bus. But I remember one time, like, I thought it was him, so I was like an elbow, and I almost like, oh, boom, boom, like that, like I almost hit her. Luckily, I hit the air. But I was like, oh my gosh, and she's like 8 years younger than me, and I was probably like, you know what I'm saying? She's like 2, 3, and I'm like 10. Yeah, totally
You would've
accidental. But like that was
destroyed her.
like, yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, I'm like, okay. Like I'm just glad I didn't hit her, but that was like, cause I would have. You know,
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's kind of like if you have a twitch and like next thing you know you're knocking somebody out. It's like no. Like how do you like because accidents do happen too. Though you got learn that too. Like one time I accidentally like did hurt someone's hair and like I got smacked in the face. I'm like, dude, that was an accident. But like luckily I was older and I didn't fight back. You know what I mean?
right.
How
And that's
much
That was
older,
with the
though?
girl.
How much
this is
older,
like last
though?
year. This is like last year. On accident, like I put my arm around the girl and then like I hit her butt and she's like, oh. And she
I'll
like,
tell you what though, me and
Oh.
my cousin were only
Yeah.
9 months apart, and he's like 9 months younger. But because
Yeah.
I was heavier, because he'd rip on me. Like I would get into
Oh.
my family, so I'd fuck him up because I had the weight on him. I'm not ashamed. I fucking whooped that motherfucker's ass because like he was just a fucking dick to me. So
Yeah.
like I didn't give a fuck.
And, like,
There was
yeah.
a really destructive period of like my life, like younger, and then just.
Well, see, sometimes you have to teach the lesson, and that was a teaching lesson for you, and you had to take advantage of it because
Yeah.
you know they got to learn when to shut up.
Yeah.
You know, because words can. I mean, you know, they say, oh, you know, words don't hurt. Well, they kind of do actually. You know.
Oh, it was
But,
bad.
you know,
Yeah.
it takes a certain mental capacity to be able to like forget it. But if it's someone you care or someone like a family member,
Like family.
yeah,
Well, my
that's-
uncle, he would get it from
Someone
my
you
uncle.
respect.
Oh yeah.
So my uncle, you know, his dad, the person he looked up to, was ripping on me, and my mom fucking hated him for it. You know what I mean? Like it's not like she was okay with this,
And
but
that's
he
sad
was,
for a
and
kid, too,
yeah,
jeez.
and so like
Let alone an adult, but I mean, yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, he's a truck driver, just has no consideration
No
for
filter at
anybody.
all.
No,
No
not
filter,
at all.
But no consideration. Yeah, that's a bad.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous combo.
And now he's older and he knows like what he did was wrong and stuff like that. But at the time I was like, fuck you. But that was like my brother in a way. Cause like we grew up together. So that's why when it was like bad, it was horrible. And so me and like my uncle was super aggressive too, like throwing us around. Like he was just that one, and like you had to fucking suck it up. So you know, it was like kind of two parts, because like my mom was a single mom, so I'd stay over there, or my grandparents. So
I mean, that's cool. You at least had your grandparents and your uncle to kind of like, you know, help out and stuff like that. 'Cause that's gotta be tough, obviously. You know.
yeah,
Wow.
but like
Tossed around.
hey, I see. I don't know. I think of creative ways to fight or fuck with people. Like, you don't have to use words, but like if someone's being aggressive, you can de-escalate it by making them look stupid. And like,
damn, am I not the best at that, Scott? Scott,
No, I didn't.
How many-
that's like that's
you know, that's
the
why
best
me and
defense.
Scott are friends.
Yeah,
That's literally why me and Scott are friends.
Because I was always like the guy like, because I had like older brother, an older cousin. It's like I would be like the one entertained, and like when I got old enough, they like stopped picking on me, and then they picked on like my younger cousins and brother, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm entertained. Yeah, okay, you do this, you know.
Orchestrating it.
But we did create this one game. We called it. Well, I created it, but I called it PE for physical endurance or something like that.
Oh Lord.
And it's basically like if you guys play the game butts up, where you throw like the ball at the wall, and catch. I can't remember how the game actually played. You throw the ball, and like if you don't catch it, then it's like it counts a point against you or something like that. And then when you get like 3 points, you go up. And
you have to drop the ball, and then whoever else is playing has to grab the ball and hit you with the ball before you grab the wall. When you hit the wall, is safe. And if you spell booties or ass, whatever you're playing, then you have to stand on the wall with your ass up, and then everyone gets one shot to hit you with it.
Why is this so sexualized as a kid game?
It's not. It's all about pain.
Well, no, it's about pain. Okay, I forgot you do throw the ball as you're playing too, though. But like when you get in like that spot where you have to stand there and everybody gets a shot at you throwing it. So I made a game based on that game. And my game was like, you just start up there, right there, face forward though. So that's how I started the game. It's like there's none of this, foreplay, so to speak. There's none of this game. It's just you just stand there. Now we gotta throw the ball. Now my thing is, well, if you flinch, I gotta throw it again. Everybody flinches the first time because I'm like, boom, throwing the tennis ball or whatever. Like they're gonna flinch no matter what every time. But guess what? I'm also gonna miss the first time. So now I get a second time, and then it's just like you just keep throwing it up. Yeah, but like I was old enough to convince them.
Right.
So see, that's kind of like my bully part. Yeah, that was not a good thing.
Bullyish for sure. Yeah.
But I think like you said, it gets passed down though. It's like from my brother, my cousin.
That's more manipulation.
That's
age manipulation, really.
Well, yeah.
That's why I'm like, what's the age difference? When you said 8, I was like, okay, me and my cousin were 9 months, so it was kind of
same
like
damn age. You could have
2
been
years
the same
older than
age,
my little cousin, and then my older brother's 3 years older than me, and then.
That's
my
a big
older
difference.
cousin was a year and a half.
Yeah, the ladders are
It's a big difference during those times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like puberty, not puberty.
Right. Yeah.
And then like having sex, and then like not.
Doesn't even. Doesn't even have a thought of what that is yet.
What is that?
Yeah, big Bertha baby.
So it's kind of good in a way, like, because, like, the thing is, like, if you have an older brother, like, the rule is, like, only he could pick on you. So, like, if anyone else tried to pick on me, then, like, he'd defend me. So it's, like, and that's why I never really had to, like, do stuff. So, like, defend myself, because he was, like, there. It's like, oh, he has an older brother kind of thing, So, like, it works both ways, though, Because, like, he used to come just, like, right before school, like I'd be watching TV or whatever, and he'd just give me, like, oh, boom, dead arm, dead leg, dead leg. I'm like, what did that happen? It's like, it was just like, no explanation.
Who hurt
He just came, just hit me. Yeah, I don't know.
What?
See, I might have daddy issues.
Wait,
but
is
at
this the
least
one
I'm
that
an
I
only
met?
child.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe that.
That's fucking.
But tell me he didn't get it all out of his system. Now he seems like the nicest, most caring guy.
Well, yeah, like I mean, like people do grow and change, though. Yeah.
As an adult, yeah, because he already kicked the shit out of his little brother.
Yeah, fucker.
He doesn't need to fight anyone else.
Yeah, but then like, but at the same time, he would kind of like make sure I didn't like really pick on my little brother either, though. He's like, hey, don't do that to me, So like, I did learn, And then that's when I created like the game. Oh no, we're playing a game. PE. Okay, stand up there, face forward. All right, let me throw this ball at you now.
Well, you have to have the little moments.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That was hilarious, though.
Hallmark it.
I don't know why this reminds me of this one story where like, my brother and I, we grew up in the same household. He was 2.5 years younger than me, and like junior high school, middle junior high school, high school, I really started getting into the shits. And so started hanging out with the wrong people, thugs, right? Gang affiliations, fighting, all these things. And so my brother was not about that life, right? And so, I mean, it were like, again, single mom. So like he was looking up to me as, I feel like, it's just not as a role of being like an older brother, but like also like a male figure in the household. Because I didn't want him to like get involved with the same things that I was getting involved with. And so on the block though, like that was our time together mostly. we had I would take him to school lunches during the summer and like the library. We would like play on the block, and so on the block we have like these older kids who are thugs, and all these like little ass kids who are like learning to be thugs. And so like we would play all these games: wiffle ball, kings, dodgeball. Except sometimes we wouldn't have a dodgeball when we're playing dodgeball on like this like huge city street, like 1,000 people on this one little block, right? And so we'd play with a basketball. And my brother is like as athletic as I am, if not more, when it comes to certain things. So he has an arm on him, and so we would be playing dodgeball with a basketball. And so like obviously like you dodge this basketball, you're not trying to catch it, right? And so like he launches this basketball, right, as hard as he can, and it's an impressive fucking throw. Everyone dodges it except this one little 4-year-old girl who just happens to be walking down the block, hits her right square in the face. And like instant tears, maybe brain damage. I don't know. We don't know how this girl.
That reminds me of the movie The Campaign, where he punches the baby in the face, like slow mo.
Yeah, we don't know how she turned out. But like, it was one of those stories.
Well, how many people have you hurt, buddy?
A lot.
But I feel like you've got hurt because like since you're like an area of 1,000 people like per just little block, like. You've got your share getting hurt too, though.
How many cars were damaged?
Like...
I want to know how much damage you guys like on the shit like you didn't like cars.
Oh yeah, we were.
Because you're gonna use them as shields. Yeah. If you're doing it on the street, you're gonna shield behind.
Yeah, a lot of car windows. Everyone scatters like roaches. Wiffle ball, breaking apartment windows, running. Like, no one ever agrees to who did it. And it's like everyone's like pretty much sticks to themselves, and the super has to pay the bill. I mean, the real enemies of New York City, the landlords.
Jesus.
Landlord, if you're listening, I'm thankful to be here. Please don't raise my
Dude, the last time I went back to New York, I was
That's what I'm saying.
The last time I went back to New York, the super of my apartment building, he was like so surprised to see me, or like the time before last. He looked at me. He was like, "Holy shit, the gringo's still alive." He was like, "Did you believe it?" Like, no, he like when I disappeared off the block, right? Like, no one really knows what I did unless you're in my circle. My super had no idea where I went or what I'm doing. I just happened to move and living a better life. When he saw me, he was like, he legit thought I died. He was like, I can't believe like you're still around.
That just shows the stuff he's seen you do, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've heard about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say though real quick about like the whole brother and like the family like kinda like picking on me and like but also protecting me, but also like later on they actually protect me from like some hard drugs and stuff like that. Like I know I was in a situation like, no, Scott, don't do that. Like
right.
Because I might have. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll try it, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was at a vulnerable time in my life at that moment, you know what I'm saying? But this is already like kinda like being an adult already. Actually, yeah, I was an adult at this time. But I'm saying it's like I still trusted them to like, hey, they got my back, and like he says, no, Scott, no. And like,
it's like, though.
Like I always have like it's like a hierarchy. It's almost because with I had around a big family, but it's like if you're older, it's like yeah, whatever you say goes. Like
yeah, I'm an only child, so like when somebody buys me a drink, I ask if there's drugs in it, and they tell me no, and I look disappointed.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Completely different.
Like, are you sure?
Because it's kind of like the days where it's like, oh yeah, you're in charge of the little ones, Like
and my parents laugh and cry at the same time. Every time they see me.
They know.
But they're proud in a really fucking
Is that what that sound was? Hold on. Is that the AC that's been messing up my sound the whole time? Did the AC just turn off?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Good job. Okay, we got to redo the whole cast.
In the beginning, when Will was a young boy.
No. I've been having to adjust the goddamn sound because of that thing this entire time. You talk about trauma. That AC is giving trauma, trying to adjust and keep the sound just right the whole time. Because last week I watched the replay, me and Will had some sound problems, and I was like, no, fuck that, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah. Sound issues.
No, that's a cuco. That's the Puerto Rican cuco right there.
Ooh, all right. Well, since we changed topics and kind of got on it, The other one that I wanted to get into, have any of you guys had anything that gave you a temporary tick? Well, like, yeah, like, say parents separated, bad relationships, somebody died, somebody kicked you in the balls.
You mean like
got embarrassed at school, killed a person, something that makes your like head twitch or makes you grunt or makes your hand like do something weird?
I've got really poor communication skills from like my dad to where like I haven't had like a valid relationship for my whole life, and the one that I did, like psychopath tendencies, like
Who tried to kill who in that one?
No, psychopath doesn't mean murderer. That's some common misconceptions. Psychopath,
he has
the
no
clinical
empathy.
term
He
is
put a
like
hit
lack
out
of
on me.
empathy.
Yeah,
He's like,
he has
why
no
did
he put a
empathy.
hit on
He's like,
them?
why
He
this
put a
stuff?
hit out on me.
No,
Yeah.
so like the media portrays psychopaths as like serial killers, but like no, like
He's
a
killed
lot.
multiple people.
But yeah, all right. But
Drug
That's
dealer
just
in
bad
Chi-
luck. That's
Drug
just bad
dealer
luck.
in Chicago.
Will's
That-
like
yeah.
that.
it still doesn't mean that's the case, right? Most psychopaths, there are a lot of psychopaths in the world who don't kill, who are not serial killers, but like they find
What?
jobs
100%.
that
totally.
to suit their like lack of empathy,
he
like
was-
bankers, cops, CEOs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
100%.
Unempathetic job.
Mm-hmm.
But his dad,
Or
like,
epic job.
was shot, like, killed by his grandfather, like, in the face, like, grew up mafia, like, had he was really sick to the point where, like, I was, like, the abuser. Swear to God, it was really, really bad. He's actually, he went to prison for drug trafficking. You might know him.
What? Why do you look at me?
He was on the app.
Oh, he was on the app. Oh, who was it?
This red panda's dealing red heroin? What's going on over here?
LM?
LM?
Los muchachos.
The app.
I did, I guess. Yeah,
My
Mm.
crush?
kind of.
That's who it was.
Oh, well, see, now we're gossiping.
Yeah, but
He used to live on 33rd Street between 4th and 5th.
I didn't see nothing,
officer.
If you know him,
That's
please
not-
arrest
Officer,
him.
it wasn't me.
he's not on anything anymore. He doesn't have any social medias, but no, it was really, really bad. Like, it was, but you know what?
Выдвигаемся на перехват. Будет тачка у него. Нам придется постараться, чтобы его прижать. Остановите транспорт.
Like, it can go back to base levels. Like, hey, they're not eating, so like, you know what I mean? Like, they need to do something to make money. And either now
Yeah.
they've shot themselves in the foot in a way where it's like, well, now they can't get a normal job because they're a felon or something like that from a previous mistake. Like, I feel like there's not a good. Now they could have a family that could help them. Sometimes you have the family support group that can still help you even after all that shit. After all, you burn every friend's bridge or whatever, or you just screwed up really bad. But like, say you don't have a family, that's like when it gets like, okay,
Testy.
should the government help them? And just like, you know, because at the end of the day, it's like it is going to be their choice. But like, if they had like a support system towards like they could start
Correct.
making the right decisions. And I know like we probably do try to have something like that in a place. And like, there's always people that are gonna fall through the cracks. I just feel sorry for, you know, people like that, and whether they're addicted to drugs themselves or they just get caught up selling stuff or doing crime because that's all
The
that's
easiest
all they've
answer?
learned
For
how
sure.
to do.
Yeah. And
There's
they
no
don't have
money in
good
it.
education systems in like the poverty stricken areas, and it's super expensive to live. Like when I went to live out there, I mean, a pack of cigarettes, shit, just the tax and everything. It was so expensive to live out there. Super expensive. But like I've talked to him recently and he's doing well, you know what I mean? Like he's on a better track. But at the time, like it was a really, really bad place. But it's also made you into the person you are, you know what I mean? And like I've learned from that. Like I'll never put myself in that position, and I do feel for him. That's why I was with him for as long as I was, you know what I mean? But you have to learn to like draw those boundaries to where it's like not just hurting the other person by allowing it to happen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I mean, that's probably how some people get on the streets too, because eventually it's like, at what point do you cut off your brother or family member? Like, dude, I can't keep giving you this, and you're not like turning your life around. Sometimes they have to go, like, maybe they haven't hit the quote unquote rock bottom yet. You know, maybe they're rock bottom and sleeping under the bridge for 10 years. Like, you don't really know.
Yeah.
You can't define that. You know.
And that goes back to we talk about this all the time. It's about convenience, right? And so here's the thing. if you have money, I do feel like your family should try and help, because the alternatives that you're gonna throw them to the government, damn man,
yeah.
that's so savage. Those little things are scary, brutal. You got people yelling. It's just all bad. I've seen it, and it's not great. What we have out here, like right here on Las Vegas Boulevard, Maine, whatever the hell that is, you drive down there on Tent City, that's because they're trying to get in line for one of those housing spots.
Yeah.
Those housings are creepy and scary. I would wish that on no one. Damn,
Yeah.
recovery is hard enough,
Yeah.
and then you put them in one of those shitty houses? And so I feel like some of it is just improper funding. Don't really know where the answer on
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah, but I feel I mean
But it
like
ain't
I like the
working.
idea of like food
That's
stamps.
fine.
Like okay, at least get food or something like that. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
mean,
you have a place to live.
Give
It's
them
a,
the
it's
food and the
hard.
drugs, right?
if
Give them
we're-
the food and the
if
drugs.
we're-
They can sell
I
the
don't
food
see the
stamps.
problem
I
with
think
it.
there's a
Criminals are going to be criminals no matter what, though.
Well, no. So like when it comes to addiction, is that what we're talking about right now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's a common
Oh,
misconception
yeah.
on like how like there's like a moral flaw in that individual.
I don't see that. Yeah, give it to him.
No wait,
You're saying-
that person was not strong enough. They didn't pull themselves by the bootstraps, right? That
Right.
person, they had all the opportunities and they still failed, and there's something
Yeah.
wrong with that individual. That's not the case, right?
Oh, okay.
It's not the case at all. So you have, when it comes to, I'm gonna stick to addiction, right? So there's this book called Chasing the Scream. It's about America's war on drugs, right? And how it's like the absolute wrong approach, right? And so there was these scientists who did this research with these mice, right? And so in this cage they had one mouse, and they had two waters, right? One was regular water, H2O, and then the other was laced with heroin. And so 9 out of 10 times that mouse would drink itself to death with the heroin water.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they'll do another study with a big cage with multiple mice and balls and ramps. They had a community. They had they had friends and opportunities of romance, and they still had the two waters, right? They didn't touch the heroin water.
That's crazy.
So now it's like, it's not really about like whether or not it's an individual problem. It's really about the cage
Oh.
that person is in,
Yeah.
right? And so you have Portugal, right, who copied America's war on drugs, right, to the T, and they had like something like a crazy like a 0.1% like heroin addiction,
Yeah.
something that's like super high, right?
Yeah.
Like it's right. Don't quote me on the numbers, but it was higher than
Wow.
most
Yeah.
countries.
And I feel like it's really available here.
Right.
Stuff like that. But-
Mhm.
So
Oh, for sure.
what they did was, instead of like continuing going along with America's war on drugs, what they did was they got a bunch of like the best experts in the fields,
Mhm.
and instead of treating it a war on drugs, they treated it like a
sickness.
national health crisis,
Mhm.
right? And so instead of using that money that they would to send drug addicts into prisons, because that's a lot of money too a year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Expensive.
But the
What-
prisons make money off of it. They're
What
privately
exactly?
owned.
That's
And
the
that's the
problem.
problem.
Yeah,
That's the
what-
because
problem.
they're making money off of it.
What they
That's
did
shouldn't be
was,
allowed either.
instead of making it a crime, right? What they did was they started to pay businesses. They took them to rehab, and they paid businesses to hire these addicts, right? These former addicts, these recovering addicts. And so now you have all these addicts who have been rehabilitated, gone through some sort of therapy. Then they go back on the streets, right? And they have something to do. They're busy, like
People
they're
can't be
keeping
rich, yeah.
themselves occupied. They're making money. Think about like all the people who go to jail for drugs here, right?
Oh,
Now it's a
sure.
felony, right? They don't get any rehab or any help, right? And then they go back into the streets, and guess what? Since they got arrested, they can't get a job anymore, right? So so Portugal completely reduced their addiction problem just by changing the way they view the fucking problem. It's not a personal issue.
Nope.
It's a demographic. They want to
It's
keep it
it's
depressed
the
because
fucking
it
cage
makes
of
them
which
money.
we're in, and we have
Right.
to change the cage that we're in, and I think that's what we're all trying to do
Well,
here.
I changed
Yep.
my major from cellular and molecular biology to marketing because I was going in the medical field and I was like, this is not a health industry, it's a business, and I can't do it anymore. And so I switched. Thankfully, I had a scholarship. First 4 years were good, but still taking classes to finish my bachelor's, but that's because it's, 6 years full time. But I'm glad I did because I'd be miserable if I would have stuck with it. Just the medical industry.
Well, that's what you're
No, I know, I
supposed to
even
do.
wrote
Your
that.
I did
undergrad, right?
research
You're supposed to
papers
figure
of
that
all
out.
of this stuff, and it's disgusting the more you learn about it and how ethic plays a huge role in the medical industry to
Yeah.
where I was like, I can't do this. I had straight A's, but I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I don't like to build a profit off someone's health,
No.
which is the same thing, or a prison. That's like someone's desperateness. You're
And that's why our
profiting off that.
incarceration rate is the highest in the world.
If
You
you're
get paid off of
World.
the guys getting paid.
if you look at like the opioid
Crisis,
the opioid crisis in the country and the overdoses, right? It's crazy because it starts off with prescription medicine, right? It's like someone breaks their leg or like their parents break their leg and now they have like Percocets or Valium in the
muscle
crib, right?
relaxers.
And so what happens is like you start taking them, you build an addiction toward them, right? And so now you go to your local dealer and like you're paying like $30 for like these 30 milligrams of perks, right? And then all of a sudden like, you can't afford those anymore, and you owe
Go
the
to
drug
the
dealers in your
cheaper
neighborhood
ones.
anymore. And so what's the same thing as these opioids but cheaper? Heroin.
Boom.
And so now you're paying $10 a pop for the heroin, getting the same sort of high, right? And then you continue to go down that road, right? With the fentanyl outbreak that's going on right now, you don't even know.
Oh,
So now,
yeah.
like you're doing the same
You
doing the
have to
same amount of
test it.
heroin that
You
you've been
have to.
doing for a couple of years,
Done.
but then you do it and like it's
You're
fentanyl
dead.
now, and now you're fucking dead.
Yeah.
It's a fucking huge problem. It's not like a be
That's-
better about yourself sort of mentality that we're trying to
Yeah,
fucking
we're-
right
yeah.
now. There's a systemic problem that's going on right now that's
Yeah.
leading people to these opioid problems.
I wonder, like, since you said like Portugal figured it out, but they're also like more united. At least in my mind, I think they're just because America's so big. It's like, oh, we're gonna let this city figure out their own problem or this state. Like,
We have
Like, we're
different
not on board.
science experience, like different demographic, privileged areas, like our own little test,
Mhm.
every different part of what state in like from ghetto to super hillbilly,
Yeah, we do.
United, the melting pot of degenerates.
Well,
right, that's true too. Yeah.
as we got
A lot of
sidetracked, I put the timer up. As you guys see, we're almost about done. So for everybody watching, we are going to come back in an hour, but we'll be back not sober. The goal is we're going to kind of have these same conversations trashed. Yeah?
Wait, do you guys believe in consent? Because I didn't consent to this at all.
Yeah, you even said you'd be there for both.
I'm just all right.
Are you going to be okay?
9:30 or an hour from now?
Yeah.
Why don't we go downtown and get trash
Pacific?
interviewing people?
Yeah.
Like in 60 minutes.
Are you going to be okay?
Like when with
Yeah, long enough so that we can get not sober and then come back and do this again.
with Mars
some
under
serious-
retrograde?
Adam's already last.
Yeah,
That
have
should
some
be good.
serious conversations. Do all of this not sober.
Is there a contract? Is there acceptance?
gonna be okay?
On both parties, a unilateral or a bilateral contract we got going
That's
on
awesome.
here. For those
It's
You-
it's my
taking
own
business
Do you wanna
law,
play with us?
I don't know.
Do you want to play with
Oh,
us?
I thought
Willie?
that's medical too. With bilateral, both legs.
Oh yeah, but it's the
But
same
it's
in
funny, yeah.
contracts.
It's
Yeah,
just the same
no, it's
with
the
med-
same exact thing.
It makes sense though, because
Supine,
law's been around
yeah,
as
like-
long as medical. Because the
Supine,
Latin and
cosine, yeah,
yeah.
We'll just mix it up and make shit up. We got this.
It's
Took
hard for
some
me because I'm a
Latin,
quantum
yeah.
oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Well, before we get canceled and say something stupid, we're going to try and get canceled in a little bit. So press the subscribe, press the favorite button, tell all your friends. We're going to go get shit canned. We'll come back. We'll try and have a serious conversation with the same topic. I can't promise that it'll be very serious. Honestly, it'll probably get more serious.
No promises.
Yeah, I think it'll be even more fun. I think. Will can kind of be the mediator. We'll get drunk, and then
Yeah, I'm not getting any
we'll
more
see how
tipsy
this
today.
goes. We'll see how this goes. So we'll just get really inebriated in a different way. Anybody want to take the final words here? Anyone want to take the goodbye?
That was a goodbye. I feel like that was a great.
Should we
intro.
like go get shit faced on Fremont? How far is the walk from Fremont?
2 minutes. All right, everybody. We'll be back in an hour. I'll see you guys all really 2. Bye.
Let's get shit.
I have my